Hello students. Today we are going to talk about rate of change of velocity. Let's first understand the heading itself. It says change of velocity. We all know that velocity means speed with direction. So here we are talking about change of speed with direction. And at what rate the speed with direction is changing is the rate of change of velocity. So this is about the heading. Now, we know that there are two types of motion, uniform motion and non-uniform motion. Let's first understand what happens during the uniform motion. See, during uniform motion of an object along a straight line, the velocity remains constant with time. Now, when we say velocity, we mean speed with direction, of course. So, with this, we can say that speed with direction remains constant with time. And we know that speed with direction is velocity. So here we can say that velocity remains constant. And constant means no change. So again we can say that there is no change in velocity for any interval of time when we are talking about uniform motion. So to put it simply, we can say that during uniform motion, the change in velocity is zero. Again, we should not forget that when we talk about velocity, it is actually speed with direction. So, this is about uniform motion when the velocity is zero. Now, what happens in non-uniform motion? See, suppose you are driving a bike at a particular velocity and then you find there is no traffic. So you accelerate your bike and increase the speed in particular direction, that is velocity. So we can say that there is change in velocity during this given time interval. And this is the case of non-uniform motion. So we can say that in non-uniform motion, velocity varies with time. Okay. Now, when we say this, we can also say that in non-uniform motion, there is change in velocity of the object during given time interval. And this is not zero, right? So, in non-uniform motion, the change in velocity of the object during the given time is not zero. Now, the case is that if it's not zero, means we can find the rate of change in velocity. Just like in the rate of change in motion, we introduced the concept of speed here also. To find out this rate of change in velocity, we will introduce the concept of acceleration. So, what is acceleration? Acceleration is a measure of the change in the velocity of an object per unit time. With this, we can say that acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by time taken. Now, when we say change in velocity, we mean that difference between final value of velocity and initial value of velocity. So, from this, we can say that if the velocity of an object changes from initial value u to the final value v in given time t, the acceleration is v minus u upon t. So, when there is change in velocity, we say there is acceleration. Acceleration is defined as the rate of change of velocity. Remember, acceleration is a vector quantity because direction is involved here. Now, if the rate of change of velocity changes with time, then naturally the acceleration is non-uniform. And that's why it is changing, of course. The example is car accelerating on a straight road with traffic. So sometime we give acceleration and sometime we don't give acceleration in case of traffic. Now let's consider one more example. Suppose a car is moving at a particular velocity in the north direction, and once the traffic is clear, it accelerates and moves faster with increased velocity in the same direction, that is north. Here, the acceleration is positive because the car is increasing the velocity and in the same direction. From this, we can say that the acceleration is positive when the velocity of the moving body increases with time and in the same direction of velocity. Now, let's consider one more example. Suppose a car is moving at a particular velocity in the north direction and the road is clear, but then due to traffic, the person applies brakes, and because of this, the velocity of the moving car decreases. So now what can we say about it? Here, when we can say that when the acceleration is such that the velocity of the moving object decreases, it is called deceleration or retardation. So, what is deceleration or retardation? It is the rate of decrease in velocity. So, when there is decrease in velocity, we say it is retardation or deceleration. In case of retardation, acceleration is negative and in the opposite direction of the velocity. I hope this much is clear. Now let's talk about SI unit of acceleration. See, we know that the SI units of velocity and time are meter per second and second respectively, right? So, here acceleration is defined as follows. Acceleration is equal to change in velocity divided by time taken. Now, SI unit of acceleration is equal to, this is change of velocity. So, here it will be SI unit of velocity. And this is time. So, here it will be SI unit of time. We know that SI unit of velocity is meter per second and SI unit of time is second. So, this denominator, which is actually in the numerator, this denominator will come down. So, it becomes meter per second square, right? So, this is about SI unit of acceleration.